All right, good morning, Western Hemisphere, and welcome to another match of Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3. This is the Invitational League. This is the division finals for the Lost Woods division between the Last Locationers and Triple Dino Disaster, represented by Linlinlin and Shareen, respectively. Joining me in the booth is Hub.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, so what are we going to be seeing here today? What kind of game is this going to be?
Well, this is our Courage Pendant round match for between the two runners. Triple Dino Dad Disaster does have 2 games up on them, finishing their other 2 pendants before all of this. So this could be the deciding factor if Triple Dino Disaster ends up taking this one as well.
Yeah, so this is, again, the Courage matchup. So this is match point for Triple Dino Disaster here. If they take this, Last Locationers have to go home, and they definitely don't want to be doing that at this point in the race. So,
Yep, and with this being Courage Pendant, that means that this seed is going to be an open seed, which is our runner's going to either start off from the Sanctuary or from Link's Home and go from there. And we are already off, opening up a half magic at the very start of the game. Pretty useful at the very early phases of the game. Allows you to not have to worry about magic management as much, especially when you have to do a little bit of heavy usage of it in probably one of the 2 dungeons that you're going to have to go into.
yeah, the half magic is something that you like to see early on. It's not super important right at the beginning of a race, but it's maybe about a quarter of the way in before it you start sort of wishing that you'd seen it already. You can make do without it, but it's not useful for a little while yet. You get the tree pull of arrows. It's not the best thing to see.
Crab
But
pull.
8 bombs from the crab. That's incredibly useful right at the start here.
Yeah, that's a pretty useful crab very early in the game. Just get bombs as fast as possible at the early stage because you're going to be using them in order to do the rest of your checks for Kakariko Village as well as South Shore.
Yeah, and we find the sword in the forest dropdown. So we're pretty... this is a really friendly start, in my opinion. Looks like Shareen is deciding with that sword to maybe go Uncle Route and South Shore first. If you do escape early on, you can... if you have a weapon, you can do escape early, which is something that's kind of nice to get out of the way. Looks like he's going for South Shore with the mini Mulworm Cave.
It seems like Linlinlin is having the same thought process, which I don't put it past them to hold off on Kakariko Village, seeing that the South Shore can be a little bit not complicated to so to say to get that out the way, but it does have a few bit of snags here and there if you're not very careful with it.
Yeah, Lin looks like Lin's going to the Uncle. I would imagine this is routed into a Hyrule Castle escape sequence clear. The one danger about doing the South Shore without doing Kakariko first is you miss out on a lot of opportunities to get the Moon Pearl, which allows you to set up for a fake flipper at the waterfall if you choose to go that route. So you can get 2 checks out of logic if you find the Moon Pearl, but there it is in the Uncle chest.
But yeah, it's good that you mentioned that. If that was the case, I don't think our runners, if they're gonna do fake flippers this early, I would like to think they'll have to amass some money rupee first before they even consider doing that to be able to be able to at the very least clear out most of Zora's checks and hopefully nothing on the ledge.
Yeah, at this point, without the boots, without the flute, I imagine Shareen... Wow, 2 swords in Mini Mulworm Cave. I imagine Shareen is probably not going to go all the way to Ice Rod Cave, especially since you can't... It's a slow check without those items, and you can't route it in with a whole bunch right now. He could make a liar of me, though. It's a good thing to not orphan, that's for sure.
And if you do orphan it, if you manage to get the flute, you can come back to it here very quickly. But seeing how the seed is kind of just dictating the places being very loaded here, it's probably good in the best interest to just knock it out the way right now and then not have to worry about it for the rest of the seed.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate here for Lin going into escape here. You know, definitely losing a little bit of time to having the fighter's sword only. Given that that tempered sword is going to show up sooner or later, there's no chance that any of the runners are ever going to skip Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, none of them will skip it, but I would like to think I would do South Shore Kakariko before doing Escape. Do your first set of spirit checks before going into Escape, because Escape may not have the items that you're looking for. And then there's Dark Cross that you have to take the time to go out of your way to get into.
Yeah, Dark Cross is out of logic and a little bit slower if you don't have Fire Source. And if you don't have the gloves and the key is in the back, then you can't continue it into the back either. So it's, you know, it's kind of a gamble, right? If you're in the early game and you don't have those items, something you need might be in Zelda's cell, and if you make the gamble early to go all the way down there, you could get a really big leg up over somebody who's playing a little more conservatively. Not panning out super well for Lin, but again, it's not a huge time loss at this stage.
Yeah, looks like Lin's going through the south part, going into Kakariko Village. Probably going to check the race as well as the library first before doing the rest of the checks in Kakariko Village, and then probably planning their move from there. It's a nice way to route it, but I feel like you should be doing South Shore Kakariko way before doing the escape sequence.
Yeah, and the main reason for that being that what items you have really makes absolutely no difference for those Kakariko South Shore checks. It's pretty. The only real factor is whether or not you have the hookshot or the mirror to, you know, cheese the blocks in the dam. Excuse me, or what weapon you have for Mini Moldorm Cave. Other than that, it's not sped up or slowed down by anything other than boots.
As we get our gloves in the back of Tavern.
That's actually decent for Lin here, because now Lin can go to the back of Escape, and unless the key is in Dark Cross, in which case you don't need to check it, Lin can completely clear out the whole escape sequence right here and now. Whereas Shareen still has to wonder about the front of Escape.
Yep, FMD.
Yeah, and Vortex in chat pointing out that with Lin's route, gets to save and quit out of Blind's Hut, maybe go right away and check that back of Escape.
So these checks it's sort of looking like either back of Escape or Saha's Hut have something for our runners to progress even further here.
Yeah, numerically, the numbers would say that it's more likely to be the Sahasrahla Eastern area, just because you have the Eastern Palace dip. I don't recall if we've seen a map check from any of the runners at this point.
I believe we did, but
there...
we have 2 pendants in Eastern and Desert, as well as Tower of Hera being a red crystal. Thanks to our tracker who is doing the magnificent work of keeping tabs on our runners here.
Yeah, so Shareen, a little bit ahead going out of Sanctuary and checking back of Escape. Lin going to be not far behind. Again, most of that time being coming from that this front of Escape sequence that Lin did.
And in the back of Escape, we get a hot piece of heart, a key, and 50 rupees. So that definitely means there is something to be had in Dark Cross.
Yeah, I don't remember if we saw the map in the front when Lin did it. Either way, Shareen has no idea if the map is going to be in Dark Cross or not.
Well, we'll figure it out soon enough as Linlinlin is following pursuit, going into doing the 3 checks.
And these dark rooms are a little bit obnoxious. They're not the simplest. It's not as simple as the, you know, say the dark sequence in Eastern Palace. And it oftentimes won't bite newer runners to, you know, not do these checks out of logic. But if you can do them out of logic, you can really, really up your efficiency and sort of save yourself some headache in trying to figure out the routing later. Cover yourself in case there's a really important item here that you don't want to have to come back for. Being able to do these dark rooms is really, really nice. Just a full heart container here.
So the escape sequence being a complete bust, but if Sharon ends up skipping up the front part of escape, they're definitely going to be saving a lot of time.
Yeah,
which I am probably going to stand thoroughly corrected, as Sharon is going to do the front part of escape.
Depending on where the map was, unfortunately I didn't notice. It could save a bunch of time if the map was in Zelda's cell, because that's a fairly decent chunk of time if Shareen can deduce that the map is down there.
Yeah, less transitions mean more time saved, meaning that, you know, you can just shave off some more seconds here and there.
All right, so Lynn now heading down towards the south shore, in a very good position to set up for the fake flipper and go clear out the Zora area. With 418 rupees in hand, might even make a detour over to the 50 rupee cave.
Yeah, if they're definitely, I think if they haven't did the rupee room, I feel like they won't be doing the Zora checks at this point. I feel like they're going to definitely go to Eastern. Like, even beforehand, like before you even think about doing it, if you're going to have the intention of doing it, you're going to just do rupee. You're going to do rupee room first, especially if you're like even short, small amount of it, because you're still going to be needing more money.
Since those checks are out of logic, I'd probably make my decision at the end of Mini Moldorm Cave in Lynn's position here. You know, if I get, you know, 100 rupee or a couple of 50s and a 20, enough to get the remaining ones from the rock in front of Ice Rod Cave, then I'd probably consider doing the fake flippers up to Zora, do the flippers checks, all that. But if I don't run into enough rupees, I just follow the logical train and go over to Eastern. It's one of the things with doing checks out of logic like that is you can end up sort of sending yourself on a wild goose chase, but you can also end up bypassing some particularly nasty chains of logic just by skipping the flippers in that instance. Say, like, flippers are really deep in some really unfortunate dungeon. You have Pendant Swamp Palace, so you don't need them anyway. But they're locking, say, the mitts or something like that.
And Sharon's finishing up the escape, finding nothing at all. More likely or not, now is going to be the decision of whether they're going to do Eastern or are they going to go to do Zora.
Yeah, I feel in this case it has to be Eastern, right? Because the only logical check for Shareen up at the Zora area is King Zora. And without the flippers, unless it's vanilla flippers, nothing else up there is in logic.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd follow and go for the 6 checks over in this area, regardless of the time investment it would require to get all 6 and the potential double dip of Eastern.
Now we're going to take a look inside Zaya's hut at the back of it, and hopefully come across something fantastic. Skull Woods being our green pendant, so that's all of our pendants marked down. And we get a piece of heart, a whole heart, and
the bow.
Oh, all right. So, oh, go ahead.
That's not a logical clear of Eastern Palace, but it can be fully cleared. As long as they can do those dark rooms, we can clear Eastern Palace right now. So that's a great thing to see.
Now, if we're playing in logic, that means either Agina's Cave has the lantern, or inside Eastern Palace is going to be our lantern.
Yeah, honestly, or Zora, because Zora is the only other check.
Yeah,
that's in
Zora's the only check right now. Yeah, you're right. Paying the Zora
or
fee.
You know, and of course, any of the little fetch quests could then lead to that lantern. which is another reason to be able to do those fetch. You know, if you find a mushroom in Eastern, and then turn it in for lantern, you know. Which is again another reason why you learn your dark rooms, so that you don't have to do that.
I think I took a moment to take a look at the very first chest they opened up, but Linlin's going to do that for us.
Yeah, of course, if this were Key Sanity, we could also have the first chest in Aghanim's Tower. This is a standard open seed, though, so both of those chests up there are going to be small keys.
All right. And Shareen pulling out the heart in the second chest, so that's our first item for Eastern Palace. 2 more to get. Here's hoping it's not on boss.
Now, looking ahead to the rest of the seed, how likely are you seeing this being an Aga seed here?
Well, we'll find out the moment we pull up the lantern, to be honest. Like, they have nearly everything else to do Aga Tower, but if they don't get the lantern, then out of logic, I mean, they'll logic-wise, they won't be able to finish Aga Tower, and if they do get the lantern, then of course they'll,
So here we're seeing Shareen saving and quitting out of Pendant Eastern Palace, going for an Ancilla delete there, I believe.
Oh yeah, that's Splash right there.
Because it's not actually going in the water that makes you think it's splashing. So if you're really gentle, even if you can't swim, you will never drown.
Looks like he's going to break the logic to go into Hobo K. So let's see what Hobo got for us.
Yeah, and this is exactly one of those scenarios where breaking logic could potentially be a really big time save. If breaking logic can find you something that would logically be locked behind the lantern here, and you know, climbing up Aga's Tower, because Aga's Tower isn't in logic without the lamp. You could end up saving yourself the time of that entire Aga's Tower climb. The flip side of that is if you completely scour the ends of the earth hoping to break logic and get around it, and you're not lucky enough to be able to, then you sort of wasted time with a lot of relatively inefficient checks.
Linlinlin is starting to break a little bit of the logic, so I'm going to assume that they're looking to see if there's anything within the big chest, and if not, hopefully there's an item there so they can just leave out.
Lin is making the play of, let's clear out Eastern Palace, get all the items in here. Worst case scenario, I mean, at worst case scenario, if there's nothing in here, at the very least, you're set up in case it suddenly becomes a ped seed later on.
Exactly.
And that's relatively possible, given that we have Eastern Desert and Skull Woods, all of which are relatively low item barrier dungeons. You can complete those with relatively few items in your pocket.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if flippers were like...
but Shareen finds the mitts in Agina's cave, so it's not an Aga seed after all.
Agina's dead? Well, Aga is dead. Long live Aga.
Yeah. It's so funny to me every time people say Aga is dead, because it's decidedly what they mean is Aga is not dead. Aga is going to remain alive.
Yeah, those Titan mitts are definitely going to be very beneficial. That's Dark World access. I feel like they're going to do the last bit of checks before heading towards there, which is, I don't blame them. Get Zora out the way. Lantern may be there. As well as doing...
Now, on the subject of Aga, it is still possible that Aga could be required if we don't find the flippers, and if we don't find the flippers or hammer. If both of those are in that sort of quadrant of the Dark World, it's going to require either a Kern jump or defeating Aga to get over to that part of the Dark World.
I feel like our runners are comfortable enough doing the hammer jump, and we get a mushroom. And from almost there, we're gonna turn that in, hopefully, and see what goodies we get.
Yeah, then the good news here, of course, is also that, you know, with these runners, they're probably not going to have to do Ega regardless, because the that fake flipper over to that side of the dark world it's a tricky trick, but I think both these runners are more than capable of pulling it off, and it's definitely faster than doing Ega.
All right, Shareen is going to see what Zora is going to give us, and it is 5 rupees. Well, absolutely nothing to be had from Zora, but with Agina's Cave having the other mix, we can go right ahead to the Dark World and see what we get from there. That is something one chat member mentioned. Shareen should have probably hard reset there.
Nah, you don't need those rupees. Now, it is kind of interesting. If we end up with the flippers over locked on that east side of the Dark World, it is possible that actually means that Shareen doesn't end up orphaning Catfish with that Zora clear.
Oh yeah, Catfish can be nefarious with some checks, now that you mention it.
But even so, it's already pretty well orphaned right now. It's a time investment to go do that no matter what. You can't wrap it in with anything super nicely anymore.
Yeah. Well, the only like set of checks that you could do to like route it in, I guess, would be Graveyard Ledge. But that's just about it. As Linlinlin does an impressive splash deletion to get into the Waterfall Ferry. Excellent work there. Sharon's not getting that much going on in the first part of Skull Woods so far. Hopefully,
yeah,
it does not.
You do see a lot of runners wrapping this in with the overworld, and that's exactly why. It seems, given how early access that area is, it's very, very easy for the randomizer algorithm to put important items in that Skull Woods front area. It seems on paper like a bad idea, or like a gamble, right? Because there are 2 items in that entire dungeon, and they could both be locked behind Fire Rod. But in practice, it's a lot more likely than you'd think that there's a good item that's not locked by Fire Rod in Skull Woods.
And it looks like he's going to take that mirror to go to Graveyard Ledge. So I wonder if he's going to go ahead and attempt to do these do the trick that we just mentioned not too long ago to get to the other side to do Catfish and perhaps do the pyramid as well, because that could be good.
I feel like that's the play at this point, because if nothing else, that gives you the information on you know, what's on pyramid. I mean, it's not necessarily the best play because there's all of outcasts and items and stuff up there. It looks like Lin is deciding to go up the mountain, break logic a little bit to do that. But you know, if knowing at this point, with, you know, that the lamp unlocks all of that side of the Dark World, it could be a decent play to jump over there and get whatever you can over there. You know, assuming that worst case scenario, you explore all this, the only thing you find is the lamp. Maybe you could, you know, skip that a little bit.
Yeah,
looks like Shareen though is going back to town.
More likely, he's going to do the rest of the overworld Dark World checks here, because going into Thieves Town, even though you can probably clear it, not having a hammer could be a bad idea. Mainly because big chests.
It really depends how safe you want to be.
Yeah. Though,
because it's very possible for the lack of a hammer to be completely inconsequential. Like, not only, like, you know, you could leave an item in there if you don't have the hammer, but you could end up leaving the small key to the room in there, whether you have the hammer or not. It really depends how safe you want to be. And so a lot of times here we see Shareen clearing the rest of the Village of Outcasts first.
Oh, well, speaking of that,
And there's the hammer.
I was going to say, unless the hammer is around here somewhere, and lo and behold. How convenient. We could just go ahead and march right in there and clean this up and get our first crystal of the seed.
Yeah, so Lin now gonna be picking up the mitts here soon.
I feel like after they're going to do this, they're going to have to march right into, hopefully following the same checks that Shareen has did in order to catch up. Because any sort of deviance from there, especially right now in this case, could hamper them down a little bit. As we get a Ocarina at the very first, I think that's the very first, no, that's second chest, ambush chest. Yeah, second chest in the Thieves' Town dungeon.
Yeah, so if Lin ends up going into Village of Outcasts first, before Skull Woods, that's actually really nice for Shareen, because Shareen would then be able to, after clearing the dungeon, activate that flute right away. Whereas Lin would have to, find a time later to do that, not having the mirror. But we'll see if Lin goes into Skull Woods first. It's a fairly common play to go to Skull Woods.
Yeah, it's very common. I feel like these runners wouldn't pass up I feel like if you're this deep in the playoffs, you have some experience, you're going, well, there's 4 checks in the Skull Woods. Might as well get them out the way, as Linlinlin is going ahead and make that play call to do so, and they will get their mirror.
Yeah, and especially with a pendant Skull Woods. With a crystal Skull Woods, you could maybe make the argument, you can get them when you come back later with Fire Rod to do the dungeon anyway, but in the event that you may not have to do it, you may as well check the front. Looks like Lin is doing some wiggling there to get a little faster push on that statue. Is that a thing you can do?
Yes, that is a thing you can do. I do believe it was proven that it allows you to move a tad bit faster to push the statue sideways that way by moving up and down.
And just like in real life, right? You when you're pushing something, if you give your hips a little wiggle, it gives it a little extra oomph.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, diagonal inputs on pushing it sideways does tend to go faster. As we get a
all 4 swords.
We get a buttered sword finally. This seed is looking pretty weird right now.
I mean, it's something that's nice to have early, right? Now you're not worried for firepower, right? You don't really care about the enemies. We have the blue mail, where we're all set basically. And Ganon fight is pretty trivial, even if we don't find the silvers. So it's really just a routing battle at this point.
Yeah, the only thing that'll make this even more ridiculous is we find silvers like very early in this seed.
Yeah, because the silvers would save some time with some bosses. But that's sort of about it. Silvers don't do a whole lot in regular gameplay. Oh, we have the red mail. So Shareen's anti-guy over here.
Taking the maiden, going all the way to finish up the rest of this dungeon. Linlinlin.
And notably that the hammer didn't make any difference for Thieves' Town. The small key looks like it was indeed locked inside that big chest.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. But still, with that hammer, though, they can definitely go over to Pod now and do those checks. Yeah. But before they do Pod, they'll more likely go South Shore. Well, not South, but South Shore, but go South first, do all those checks first, and then go ahead to Pod.
Yeah, with the hammer, then you can go up to Pod from Hype Cave, and as sure as I am that these runners are completely comfortable doing Pod without the lamp or any sort of light source, knowing that it's not in logic without one would lead me to, wrap all those checks in, do all that stuff on your way over there, and make it a little easier, make it a little quicker to go through those dungeons, find the items you might need in there.
Another thing that Shareen can do is that instead of, once they finish doing all the checks at South, they could potentially go up to the mountain and then start doing the Tower of Hera. That is a red crystal.
Yeah, and actually, you know, you could hold off until you find the hook shot, say.
Yeah, because you want to.
Because that allows you to do all of the checks over there, including Hookshot Cave. But you know, I'd almost say that makes a lot of sense because the flute does allow logical access to the mountain.
Yeah. What I would like to think though is like sure, you won't want to have the hook shot to finish doing the rest of these checks, but sometimes the seed logic will dictate otherwise. Maybe the hook shot is in Death Mountain, like Paradox Cave or something like that, but can never know for sure. But yeah, going without the hook shot and going in with the hook shot will always be a gamble.
Yeah, and regardless, it makes a lot more sense to, at the very least, wrap through to Hype Cave before you make that decision of when you want to go up there. Just because you don't want to just rush up there and leave the hookshot in Hype Cave. The check density of this south loop is really good, especially with the mirror. You can do Dig Game, Stumpy, Cave 45, and then you don't have to worry about that if you decide to clean up the Smith chain later on, and can just do that super quick with the mirror and
yeah.
flip.
To clarify in the chat, Jesse, King's Tomb was the one tomb that you use the boots to open up. The thing that you're probably mentioning with the mirror is the back of Cemetery.
Okay, so it looks like Shareen is going to at least do the front half of Smith chain here. This also makes sense because you can sort of do it while walking down. You don't save any time by not being able to dash. If you decide to turn in the chest here. And you get to wrap in the hammer pegs too.
And we get from our Smiths a piece of art, unfortunately. But hey, you know, that's okay. Just keep going. We got plenty more checks to do in this routing. Yeah,
and see, and the sort of dilemma here is sort of between, okay, how much you're spending extra time to do all of these checks when you could be clearing dungeons, and it's very common advice to, always prioritize clearing those dungeons. But you also need to, sort of temper that with what could you be leaving on the table. If you have to come back to this area to do these later, that's a lot less efficient. You could be leaving time on the table there. And what Shareen is doing is really maximizing these checks per time and making sure that, the potential time loss here is going to be as minimal as possible.
Yeah, and chat's talking about how Sharon has passed up pegs, which I feel like that's a mistake. Like, even if you don't have boots for doing the pegs, you really
you could make the argument if you're gonna go back for the purple chest, maybe go back and do purple chest for once you find boots or something like that. But yeah, I would say it's probably just a mistake. Because that's a check that it can be easy to sort of forget to wrap in when you're sort of constantly updating your sort of route in real time, trying to think, okay, well, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next here? And then you're like, okay, do the Smith chain with hammer pegs, and then you forget to actually do hammer pegs. So that can be dangerous if there's something important there, and Shareen completely forgets that it's not done.
Well, purple chest only yields us a piece of heart, so it looks like we're going to go to our Hype Cave next.
Yeah, or Swamp Palace without the hookshot. You never know. If we do find the hookshot in Hype Cave here, though, I fully expect a Swamp Palace full clear. Unless, of course, Shareen wants to wait until you can potentially go mode it, but...
Well, he can't clear Swamp Palace because he needs flippers and hookshot.
Oh yeah, that's right, flippers. I forgot the flippers. They were swimming around earlier. I forgot they in fact cannot swim. And
well, there it is, our lantern. And Fire Rod, too. with the Quake Medallion and hook shot.
Let's
go.
That's about the best hype. That's the best hype cave I've seen in a while.
Let's go. I'm hyped up here. We get some hard progression going with Fire Rod and hook shot, and Quake could be the entry for either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock. Let's go.
Yeah, and so Shareen heading here to Desert first. I like this. Probably, yeah, gonna check Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave, and then get information on the Mire Medallion.
Yeah, this is a good idea.
Yeah, if the Cane of Samaria shows up over here, that's a full clear for Mire. However, the medallion is in fact Bombos.
Something that I just now noticed that Shareen did was quickly dipping into the water, deeper water, in order to get some iframes to bypass the 2 glowing sparks over there, which is actually a pretty brilliant move.
Yeah, that's one of 2 ways to do it. Give yourself iframes, or I think with the boots you can do some frame perfect shenanigans or something to actually get there before they pass through. But it's usually not worth it for most runners.
Yeah. But yeah, doesn't seem like the checks for Misery Mire didn't come out pretty well there, so looks like Pod
you got the information. You got the information on the medallion, and worst case scenario, you get those checks out of the way pretty quick, and then you can just go full clear Pod, completely in logic.
Yeah, that's understandable. Getting the information for Misery Mire entrance is also a good thing. So here's something. Turtle Rock will have either the same medallion or at least the one that we already got right now.
Yeah, I also want to point out something Shareen did earlier. When Shareen checked K45, went in, saw it was 20 rupees left, then decided to go back in and grab those 20 rupees, most likely thinking ahead to Pod, where you need 110 rupees at the very least to actually enter the dungeon here. Kiki takes 10 when he starts to follow you, takes 100 here. So at the time, Shareen only had like 20 rupees, so Shareen decided, I better pick up those 20 rupees because I want to be going to Pod as soon as I can.
Yeah, this is why I always say, like, at the very start of the run, money is always in logic, just so you can pay all these fees to do your checks. So, was there a logic quirk between, for Pod, where if you find like a small key in the first room, the rest of the keys are like within the first bit of area, so to say?
So in the front side, there's always at least 4 small keys. It could be up to a full 6, but only 2 items in this whole front half are allowed by logic to not be small keys.
Okay.
So if you find 2 items, 2 non-small keys, the rest of them are small keys, which can be really helpful when it comes to that vanilla big key, because you have to spend a key to get to that one. If you can eliminate the possibility that that's an item you might need to pick up, that can be really, really handy.
Okay.
Because then you don't have to waste time going up there and checking it.
As we approach Bow Lockside, meanwhile, Linlinlin is following pursuit, tracing the steps of Shareen at the moment. So we don't see much divergence yet between runners. Not yet, at least.
Yeah, Shareen has the lead mostly off of that significantly earlier mitts pickup, and nothing else has really materialized that really sort of was the hard bottleneck for progression. All of the other potential progression points were locked behind that access point.
And it does look like he's going to take care of the boss first, which is probably one of the more. It may seem like it's weird, but it's the same amount of time. Once you beat the boss, you go back into the dungeon, then do the back part of the dungeon itself, and when you finish, you can just mirror out.
Yeah, with the mirror, you can really sort of crack open your routing options in Palace of Darkness. Without the mirror, you're really kind of locked in a lot of ways. If you don't have the mirror, you would never do this because you would never give up that free warp straight to the entrance. If you get warped to the entrance at the end, you want to be done if you don't have the mirror.
But yeah, Linlinlin is now getting his super hype cave going. I feel like he may end up going to do Eastern as well, since that kind of just says, hey, there's a lot of other checks in Eastern, and in Pod right now to do, and then you get them
it is kind of unfortunate because Lin ended up full clearing Eastern earlier for absolutely no gain. It is still possible that we do find you know, something important on the pedestal, so that option is still open. Yes. Especially now with that fire rod showing up, that is a full clear on the table for all 3 pendants.
So yeah, flippers could be in there, ice rod could be in there, some more cane could be in the pedestal.
Yeah, other than that, though, those are the only items that we require. You know, Bombos medallions.
Yeah,
Bombos
medallion.
Ether could also be there and be required for Turtle Rock, but so a few things could be on the pedestal. So it's not impossible, but definitely the odds are not in Lin's favor on that.
Yeah, and if you want to be really mean, you can have boots in there as like pedestal, and it's required for Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, that is another thing, though. Boots can be required for Desert Palace, so it's not necessarily a logical full clear of all of the pendants.
Yeah.
So Shareen is going to head to the back of Palace of Darkness now, where most of the items reside.
And here's hoping that they're going to get their last set of items to go into go mode.
Shareen doing some tactical RNG manipulation there with the Helmasaur. Decides to fall off, let the first few tiles fall. It makes the rest of the dungeon easier, I promise.
It's all going according to plan. Alright, so that's 2 keys. Huh. Seems like this dungeon is saying something is in Helma's hallway. Ugh. I can never pronounce that hallway properly.
It's Gormless Grabway. Cane of Samaria.
Hey,
so that's one of our big items here.
Also, yeah, Cane of Samaria will allow you to get you access to Misery Mire's last part of the Misery Mire, getting through Turtle Rock as well. But more importantly, it allows you to do the icebreaker, well, the barrier glitch for Icebreaker Room in Ice Palace, saving you a tremendous amount of time and headache.
Yeah, and that's actually a very, very possible. That could be a very possible play right now. It's not in logic without the flippers, but for Ice Palace, that flippers requirement is not really a big deal to these runners.
Yeah, they do have math magic, and they do have a fire rod, so they can just walk right in there.
It's just, yeah, again, one more reason, too, to keep putting off Death Mountain. You don't have anything else you need for Ice Palace to make it really any faster. You do Ice Palace,
and there you go.
Every
Shareen
time
is having the same like-minded mindset going in here as he does a fantastic flawless.
Yeah, so that's something that you really love to see, right? You know, putting off the mountain can be a really big gamble, because you know you could be waiting to see something that you'd be finding up there anyway. But when you can, you know, full clear a crystal dungeon that you need to do anyway, again, that's sort of going back to that advice: always clear the dungeons when you can. You wouldn't want to rely on clearing this up if you didn't have the Cane of Samaria, just because of how much time it saves in this dungeon and the likelihood that you would find it on the mountain. But it's showing up beforehand like that makes doing this right now a very, very comfortable play.
Linlinlin's cleaning up the boss fight in Pod. Gonna go back in there and do his last set of checks. More likely or not, gonna get the Cane of Samaria as well.
So Shareen opting not to flip the switch again.
More likely or not, they're gonna go to T-Slime Room with this. Plus, with Cane of Samaria, they can completely ignore having to drop the block down from the boss room. So this is the play saying, "Hey, I need to go to T-Slime Room just to make sure I get all these checks done." As to say, I kind of forgot how much the item count is for this for the ice dungeon. In order to say, "Oh, I checked everything," I can just leave everything else gone for whatever reason that may be. But yeah, it's just hop, skip, and a jump, and clipping into. Well, okay, yeah, there we go. I have seen so many ways to clip into that staircase for some reason. Like, some of them do it from the right side, some of them do it from like off the little corner on the left side there. But yeah, the reason why you will not flip the switch for Ice Palace to do T-Slime Room is that it'll save you 2-3 screen transitions, and that could measure up a lot more. Also, T-Slime Room just had our big key, so they're going to finish doing the rest of the checks from here once they get over to that other side over there.
Yeah, and this is the part of the run now where it's becoming really nice that they found that half magic, because without it and without the bombos, they would need to have a full bar of magic to start this fight. And if you're using the Cane of Samaria, you need to make sure that your magic is full after these two, or else have an extra key to open that refill room. With the half magic, you don't really have to worry about that at all.
Yeah.
And given Shareen's magic bar at the moment, that it did well, of course, I guess you can always do what Shareen just did and dupe those fire rod shots with the sword.
Good grief, Shareen.
But yeah, that is a clean. I've seen some discussion over commentators calling unclean boss fights clean. I'm pretty confident that was a clean cold stare kill. That was blinking.
I was looking to say, like, I didn't blink and didn't realize he was already finishing the first phase of it. Like, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and that's again, when you dupe with the sword beams, that's a speed up. And with the red mail and gold sword, that boss doesn't get any easier than that. But still very important to be able to get that optimal time whenever you can.
And it looks like we're now doing our very first climb into Death Mountain, unless Linlinlin already did it. Did Linlinlin already do it?
Lin already did the front half of this. Did it without the
okay.
Wasn't able to do anything other than check the items on top, unfortunately. Well, actually, Lin might have had the mirror at that point.
Oh no, mirror was
no, not yet. Yeah, I didn't remember exactly when Lin had been doing that, but yeah, no, I don't think the mirror had shown up. And that was a kind of a reach of a play in that situation to break logic up the mountain to hope you find something important up there. It's a hefty time investment for not a lot of available items if you don't have mirror, hammer, etc.
Yeah, with that all done, they're just gonna go march right into Tower of Hair. I feel like a hair pot is about to happen very soon. And I always love to see how people do hair pot. Like, there's so many different ways to do it, and they all lead to the same conclusion.
Yeah, I usually do it by going down into the tile room if I need the big key from down there, and then I open the door and go up.
I have been very spoiled by boots and hookshot, and I always end up doing the hookshot speed glitch in order to get into there.
Yeah, in my experience, from what I've seen, is the hook speed method is sort of faster, but a lot of people do prefer the bomb strats just for being able to line it up perfectly, know it's gonna work. The hook speed is a little inconsistent. Or rather, it's harder to make consistent.
Jaren trying to line himself up perfectly to the position needed to get this in correctly to clip into the pot. And it looks like they got it first try. Took a little bit of buffering, but you know what? You could, as long as you get it within the first try, you can buffer as much as you want.
Yeah, I personally don't hair pot much just because buffers are not my to my taste, but I cannot deny how much time Shareen just saved there. Even with all that pausing, it saves a huge amount of time, especially when you have to go down to the basement logically to get that big key. Shareen is risking an item being in the big chest, but having found the net in the front, it's a lot more comfortable to just go up here and fight Moldorm, and then make the decision if you have to go to the basement later.
Yeah, basement, logically speaking, should be where the big key is at. As Shareen gets pushed off by Morty, being the troll that he is. Not huge surprise there. Always giving our experienced runners a good slip up and a good old knockoff.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you sometimes feel like it's like, oh man, I'm playing like it's just 2 slashes. How hard is that? But sometimes the patterns that you get from it, there's just no good way to hit the tail fast. And it's really good at tricking you into feeling like there is a good way to do it, but sometimes there just isn't, and you end up tricking yourself into a fall. Even the best people fall to Moldorm.
Yep. And as Shareen has finished Morty off, Linlinlin has finished Cold Stare off, and now they're on their way to the next set of dungeons to clear up.
I didn't pay super close attention. Was that the second item, or is there one in the big chest?
Oh no, there's one in the big chest.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, they're skipping that. They're
yeah, I would.
Yeah.
you would at this point. You know, that's just what you'd do. Because that's too big of a time investment when you've got all of the right side of the mountain waiting for you. And I do mean all of it. All of Light World, all of Dark World, and potentially Turtle Rock, most of Turtle Rock, if the correct medallion is in hand or shows up.
Yeah, that is correct. But yeah, from doing it from Hera to get into Eastside Death Mountain is a good routing choice, because it allows you to do Spiral first, and then you can just kind of just drop down from there, and then you can either do Paradise Cave and then go up, or then take the portal to Dark World and start working from there.
Yeah, so Shareen going to the portal from Dark World. I imagine we're going to see Shareen switch to the mirror, go up between the 2 caves up here, leave the portal between, go right and do Paradox Cave. Then you don't have to do the bomb jump across, can just go right down and climb up the mountain in the Dark World via Super Bomb Cave. I don't like doing bomb jumps, so this is my preferred method. The downside of this method is you can't do it if you don't have exactly the right items.
Yep.
Which is a pretty big downside, but...
We do get some literacy from Paradise Cave, so I'm wondering if Tome the tablets are going to play a role here, but
yeah, what that definitely means is Shareen is going to be looking at that ether tablet before leaving the mountain for sure.
Yeah,
maybe before going into Turtle Rock, in case it's the ice rod.
And we get a beer bottle, some bombs.
Our first bottle, by the way. So Sick Kid is now on the
Very
table,
first.
finally.
Oh, hey, ether medallion.
Yeah, so unless we have bombos for both, this could be Turtle Rock access.
Big
You need the
G is
boots
on
for
Desert.
Desert Palace.
Okay, so yeah, that rates
So
off.
that's kind of bad news for Lin, in a way, because that means that whatever could potentially be on the pedestal is now locked behind boots. So until boots show up, the fact that Lin has cleared Eastern Palace is less likely to sort of be a boon.
I feel like this has to be in Death Mountain or Turtle Rock, as we get a magic powder from Super Bunny Hop Cave. And on Linlinlin side, they picked up their first up bottle. So here's something to well, there you go, 10 arrows. That's our second item. Hopefully they don't have to go back in there anymore.
Yeah. So for those keeping track, the items that could potentially be on the Master Sword pedestal that could be relevant are Ice Rod, Bombos, and Flippers. Well, not and, or. Only one item can be on the pedestal, not all three.
Didn't get much from the Hookshot Cave, unfortunately. But that's still some set of checks that you can get that out the way. And we get Bombos for Turtle Rock entry. It's time to hunt.
Okay. That's actually something Shareen is pretty happy to see at this point. Because diving down into Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod could be a very real possibility. You can get a lot of items in Turtle Rock even without the Ice Rod. The only check that's locked away is the boss, which may not even be an item in the first place. But now Shareen is free to go check Ether Tablet and check Spike Cave and get off the mountain, not come back until Ice Rod shows up, or until Bombos shows up, perhaps.
But worth knowing that they still need to get the flippers, just so they can get. Hey, speaking of flippers,
and there are the flippers. So I mean, that's gonna show up eventually. Now, really, it could only be Ice Rod or Bombos on the pedestal. Now, this would kind of be the most awkward place for Bombos to show up here in Spike Cave.
I'll be very, very silly right now.
Because you really would love to save and quit out of Spike Cave. So that means an extra mountain climb to go back up to Turtle Rock. But it really feels like you should be able to... It's like, oh, I'm still on the mountain, just go to Turtle Rock, save time. It really doesn't. Silvers, though. Silvers. That could be really bad for Lin.
No.
If Lin starts getting in a hurry, decides to shave that check off, I wouldn't say it's likely, given the item layout of the mountain. But no Ganon shenanigans are gonna be saving anybody in this seed, methinks.
Alright, so here comes the check from Potion from the Sick Kid. And we are going to get a whole heart. Yeah, that's fine.
Now, Lin deciding to go for the other strategy, does the bomb jump over here.
Probably successfully done.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if this is any faster than doing it the way Shareen did it. If you get that bomb jump first try, it's pretty close. If you miss the bomb jump, it probably loses you some time. Oh, well, it doesn't lose that much time, because if you fail the bomb jump, then you can sort of just do it anyway. Oh, Lin didn't do Spiral Cave first. Interesting. Oh, did Lin?
Because they didn't.
Yeah, Lin didn't go up to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lin didn't go up to the top because Lin had already checked hers. For Shareen, it made a lot of sense to go straight up to Hera and do that right away, because he had to go up there to check the checks.
And in our second tablet, we are going to see what we get here. And it is a blue potion That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, it's nice to have that in hand, or at least it would be if we weren't already armed to the teeth.
I know, just good lord.
Red mail, gold sword, silvers. You don't need any safeties really. It's
Like, let's
it's
go.
really if you run out of magic. But yeah, Shareen
Like,
taking that straight into swamp.
You could just shotgun that.
Yeah, so Shareen right now just looking for Ice Rod and Bombos. And potentially boots if we have Ganon's Tower Big Key on the torch.
And as we all know,
Desert is boots locked, but Desert is also a pendant, so
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
We don't necessarily need to find the boots at all.
Here we go into the Swamp Palace. Something tells me Bombos and Ice Rod are in here. Like, this seed's looking pretty jet right now.
Yeah, so the interesting thing will be, do you check left side in this scenario? For me...
Yes.
Yeah, you check left side. I am play fast and loose enough that if I don't see a single dungeon item before I get to that point, I'll skip it even if I'm missing two, because I'm willing to ride or die by that scenario. In a tournament scenario like this, where, you know, it's you really want to clutch out that last win, not have to take this to a game 4. Yeah, you check it for thoroughness.
Yeah, like, I was going to say, like, you're ahead by 2 games. You might as well be thorough in this dungeon and call it the day.
I always do like skipping it because I like to just ignore how bad it feels if I need to go back to it. But I get to feel good about skipping it whenever I do. And even if that time save doesn't win me the race, at least I get to feel good about it. And so that's what I tell myself.
Yeah, I like to. I have the same sentiments as well. I don't like swamp. I don't like West Side Swamp. All my homies hate West Side Swamp.
I don't hate it. I just love feeling like I saved time by skipping it. And looks like Shareen is going straight back. I don't think we saw any dungeon items yet, so it's still very possible that compass map, some combination of compass map and big key are there and in the big chest. And that's why it can be a decent play to, you know, skip it in that scenario, because, you know, it may end up being useless anyway. With the compass showing up, that's not ideal, but you know, you take the good with the bad.
And I was going to point out that Linlinlin had a very unique way of going into the hair.
Here's the ice rod, though. See, and that's
rod.
One of the good things about skipping. And even if you see one of those things show up, you know, you hate to do left side just to see one of the 2 items you're looking for show up later in the dungeon. I almost would say if the big key shows up on the boss, you go back in and clean up the dungeon. You could find the last item in the big chest, which would save you from going all the way to the left side. But it really depends on what else you feel you have to check. What are our 5-6 crystals again? And do we have them both? It looks like it was Hera and Pod, right?
Yes.
So with that being on the table, another item in Skull Woods, I believe, in the back, plus the green pendant. It's not that huge of a risk necessarily to skip left side swamp, especially with that ice rod turning up the way it did. And right now, Shareen here knows that there's one item between the 2 chests in left side and the big chest, because the big key also didn't show up, I believe.
Yep. So, gonna go back in
and Shareen is deciding to go back in. This is also a very defensible play.
Oh man, Chad is calling Bombos on pad. I have the same gut feeling too for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible, but I mean, again, bearing in mind that We do have, you know, we have the Waterfall Fairy. That's 2. Another item in Skull Woods. That's 3. Plus the green pendant turn in is 4. Could be any one of those 4. Or boots, which would be another 2 checks.
Linlinlin getting their silver arrows. Thankfully enough, that's actually not that. That's actually good for Linlinlin. Like I'm hoping at there's some sort of check that Linlinlin will do that will give them a little bit of an edge at this point, because right now they're kind of just trailing behind Shareen. Yeah, I do believe we're going to get our west side checks from Swamp Palace here. Just need to do a diver down at this point. So shouldn't take that. Oh wait, no, they already did. They already got the key to do that. I didn't.
Yeah, they had to because they They didn't skip it.
Yep.
You know, I believe both runners have yet to turn in the bottle too. So Sick Kid could also have Bombos or Boots.
Oh no, Shareen turned it in. That was a whole heart.
Oh, Shareen did. Okay,
Sure.
whole heart. So, but you know, on that note, I think both these runners would very much rather see Bombos right now than the Boots. If the Boots show up, then they're thinking, okay, Ped Seed. Instantly, that's what they're thinking.
Looks like it's nothing is in Swamp Palace, so I guess it's time to start looking into our ped dungeons.
Well, this is Shareen is going to do Pyramid Fairy first.
Yeah, that's right,
regardless.
Pyramid Fairy.
And I don't remember if Shareen or Lynn checked Pyramid Ledge. They might have.
None of them have, and I don't think any of them had checked.
Yeah, so Pyramid Ledge, Pyramid Fairy, Catfish. That's a really good batch of checks to do. Which, in my mind, if you skip Left Side Swamp, you sort of hope that it's only like 1 item or something in there, and then you just bank on it being in one of these other pretty quick checks. But with 2 items being locked behind left side, as Shareen must have deduced, since there were 2 items left side. Then you go back in, take your lumps.
As Linlinlin is going into their Swamp Palace dive, we get Shareen into the Pyramid Fairy as we spot a blue potion on the Pyramid Ledge. I don't think they're going to be picking that up. They already got one already.
And again, armed to the teeth. Not even gonna ask the Fat Fairy for a potion.
Yeah, there was nothing in there, so time to check some. Hopefully, Catfish has the item, and if not, then we were just gonna be scratching our heads a little bit and figure out where we're gonna go to next.
Yeah, I feel like the obvious place to go if Catfish comes up empty is you go to Skull Woods, grab a pendant, green pendant, and the second item in there. So what exactly does Lynn need to sort of come back in this? Because again, this routing that we're seeing from Shareen here is really it's pretty gimme logic. You just keep going to your high density checks.
It has to just on Shareen's side, and I have definitely been mispronouncing Shareen's name, have I, this entire time?
I mean, there's no mispronunciation, only dialect,
I like to think that.
I don't believe we've seen Magic Bat. because of when powder showed
Yeah, powder.
up. As we see Shareen going to do this now.
So we're gonna check that now.
And there are the boots. So that puts Ped in logic. I imagine we see Shareen go and check King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks before heading into Skull Woods.
Lin.
This actually could play out in Lin's favor, because Lin could be thinking, okay, you know, I have one pendant, let's bank on the pendants. And you know, skip Bonk Rocks, King's Tomb. Because if it is a Petaseed, then Lin has the advantage. If it's not, then Shareen has the advantage.
All right, well, here's hoping for that as we check Bonk Rocks. Do we get Bombos? No, we don't. Just 5 rupees.
But right now, it basically has to be on Ped for Lin to get get the right value from this. Shareen going up here to check the Lumberjack, because that was never done, and Aga is logically defeatable. Amazingly, in hour 10 into the seed, we do have enough to go defeat Aga.
I thought that was a piece of heart, so they're just gonna ignore that. Looks like they're not going into... Did they do King's Tomb already?
No, they did not.
Oh.
It's faster to flute over to 2 and go this way than it is to screen transition all the way up from Lumberjack, I believe, because it's right here.
Okay.
It's one of those unconventional bits of sort of map timing knowledge that, you know, it really makes a huge difference. And there it is. Shareen is in go mode at 110.25.
Hey, this is unfortunate for Linlinlin, but like I said, it's Shareen's seed to lose if they do a lot of execution errors up at this point. I was really hoping for a little bit more diverse in this one.
Yeah, honestly, the biggest decision in this whole seed, with the way the items were laid out, you know, where they ended up being, it was when do you check Agina? And the earlier you check Agina, the faster your seed goes, because it had the mitts. And that's sort of most of what made the difference here is Lin really just did a couple of extra things before checking Agina, which is, you know, 90% of the time that's totally a defensible strategy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
There's nothing that the thing is, there's nothing that ever points directly to Agina's cave. There's nothing that says, hey, you should check here, because it's available right at the start of the game.
Yeah, like best case and even the best case scenario, you're checking that last as one of your item checks, especially in the very early in the seed.
Yeah, it's a kind of long check to go to early, and you can route it in with some stuff later. So, and there's nothing that tells you that you have to go there early. You can't figure out that, oh, I bet there's something in Agina's cave. It's always just a spin of the wheel, whether or not you need to go there. So, it's a little rough to get a seed like that where it's such hard progression. And in fact, it just cracks the whole thing open. Unless you go there, you can't really find any of the other important items.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shareen is getting their Godmire going as he pulled up I think the spiked chest had the big key. So yeah, they're gonna be quickly clearing this dungeon without a doubt.
So remind me, where did the magic powder show up?
I believe that was in because I definitely know it was.
Was that in Hype Cave?
No, it was not in Hype Cave. It was
okay.
Death Mountain. Death Mountain Bunny.
Death Mountain. Okay.
Super Bunny Hype Cave. There we go.
Yeah, so this is going to be a quick hop, skip, and a jump for Shareen. I mean, even the most Galaxy Brain Tyrant, I don't think is going to save lane at this point. I'd love to see it played, though. Unfortunately, there's not really much of a way for Lin to know how behind he is. So it's gonna be. I'm gonna probably be disappointed there.
Yeah. Fingers crossed though, because anything could happen. Who knows? Maybe maybe Shireen's power will go out, unfortunately. But let's not put commentators.
I mean, I wouldn't hope for that.
I would not.
Either way, if I was Lin and I won because Shireen's power went out, I would feel awful. Now, if I were Shareen and I won because Lin's power went out, that would be even worse because that would be you know, game, set, and match. At the very least, in the reverse, they'd get a chance to go again. But yeah, Shareen just putting in the time, gets a meaningless go mode Turtle Rock.
I realized that
mostly meaningless.
Shareen just skipped pegs. Bootless pegs.
Yeah, Shareen completely skipped hammer pegs. I mean, why do that? Why pound down like a dozen pegs in the ground?
Why with the slow?
That doesn't open holes.
Why? I don't remember what Linlinlin sprite is, to be honest. Okay, so where do you think our big key is at in Turtle Rock?
Big key. I'm gonna guess it's on the right side in the front here, left chest.
I want to say Chain Chomps. I want to say Chain Chomps has our big key.
No, it's definitely on the right side, on the left chest. 100%. I'm sure of it.
All right, we get a small key from the left side over here. Time to go to the right side and take a look, see what's over there. Meanwhile, Linlinlin is tracing Shareen's steps going into King's Tomb. They're going to pull up their. They're going to end up pulling up the bombos.
Yeah. So an interesting note about that routing. I think it would be faster to. It would be faster to not use that duck warp if you were to check Lumberjack, then do Bonkrox, then do King's Tomb. But overall, it's the fastest if you do Bonkrox first. Okay, I was wrong. It was the right chest, by the way. But yeah, since it's fastest to do the Bonkrox first, that's the fastest of all of those checks to get to, and complete. You bank on that being the one you need first. Then, since you're closer to Lumberjack, you check that just in case, and then you go do King's Tomb. I believe that's the thought process there. It's sort of me spitballing ideas. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'm hypothesizing that that's the thought process since both our runners did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lin going straight for the spike chest here. Gets rewarded for it. Mercifully quick Misery Mire here. That's the one thing you love to see at this point in the race. You know, you've ended up with a relatively long hunt. You're finally in go mode with the medallion. When you get medallion go mode, you like to see a go mode Mire. Just a god Mire is it's a relief. Because you're not thinking, oh man, like now I have to play through all of Mire.
Meanwhile, Shareen is making their way to the other half of Turtle Rock. getting their last key from there, so they're gonna be finishing up pretty soon once they get through the Darkane maze. I don't know how you call that. Just excuse me, I'm a little tired here.
I call it the Turtle Rock Dark Maze. It doesn't have another Dark Maze to really get confused with. Shareen gonna go over to the right side. Probably grab the full magic refill. Nope, gonna use the potion. I think. Either that or just use the magic refill, because I guess you don't really need any more magic in between here and there.
Yeah, you just have to just go through a bit of switching of the blocks, and there's a full magic refill wait for you at the very end of it.
Yeah, a lot of the time I will try to remember to grab the full magic refill on the right side of the maze. If, say I'm less well equipped than this, and I know I'm gonna want to powder that fairy, and say if you don't have half magic, then you want to make sure you have enough for that, because there's a free magic refill, but no free health refill. So we're gonna see if Shareen gets the 0 cycle here. Doesn't look like it.
Unfortunately not. Good effort though.
Yeah, 1 cycle's fine. And you can with this amount of equipment, you can play this boss as fast and loose as you like. There's really no repercussions, as I mentioned earlier. You have this much equipment, you basically just get to run through. You don't have to consider the game's combat challenges in the slightest. Still have to keep your skills sharp so you don't fumble them. But yeah, quick fight, and Shareen is off to GT, and we've got the big key guessing game to start.
Oh man, I can't wait. So, for you people in the chat, I'm not sure if it's activated here, but okay, there we go. You can guess what room or what chest will be our big key location. I'm gonna guess 8, because I like that right now.
Hope room right, hope room left, tile room. Come on, Shareen. It's not gonna happen. It would be a bad move for Shareen to make, but I want Shareen to do it, and I want it to be the big key. I just want to see that every single time. It just makes me so happy to see it be in tile room and it not be last location. It's satisfying to me.
Oh man, yeah, it's very painful. Just like, come on, see, why are you like this?
And for those of you who may be newer, tile room is the room right to the right of this. It's available very early on, but it takes like 30 to 60 seconds or something to actually collect the chest from there. So we're probably going to see Shareen run right pie, because it's easier to hope the key isn't there and pick it up at the end if you're forced to than it is to grab it on the way here. It wastes just too much time for that one check. It's just not worth getting all of the other checks you can in the meantime.
I want to say that room is like auto-scrolling level offense level of like bad waiting. Like you just have to wait there. From a game design perspective, I actually think it's
a really great tile room for Ganon's Tower, because it's by far sort of the trickiest one. Again, if you cheese it by using the cape and grabbing onto the wall, of course it's completely trivial. But you're not supposed to be able to do that. If you actually play it sort of the legitimate way, it's a pretty decent end game challenge for a casual player. So I actually like its inclusion in this dungeon personally. Speaking of which, we are at, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 checks down. Haven't seen the big key yet.
No big key yet.
We're coming up on 8, 9, 10, 11.
Yep, here's hoping 8 has it. Is it big? No. We do get some 20s for our efforts, though.
Yeah, Shareen wisely using Ether rather than Bombos. Bombos is a longer animation. And using lightning to defeat skeletons is way better than doing it any other way.
Get to check the twin fire chest room. There we go. It's just 20 more rooms.
It's not necessarily faster than doing it any other way, but it's definitely better. Speaking of which, 12 is still not the answer.
Maybe it's in random room. Meanwhile, Linlinlin is going through skipping the lava chest there. Going to take the key and make a run for it. So they're going to be... I want to say the moment Shareen finishes some of the gauntlet, Linlinlin will probably just be entering Ganon's tower, from the looks of it.
There we go. That was chest number something.
I have lost
I stopped counting. I was
15. There we go.
Luckily, Bandman was counting. So 15 Bigo88_1.
Congratulations on your 30 internet points. Save those up, and you may get something big from the internet.
Once the system is implemented. The internet administration has been very slow on implementing internet points in any meaningful way, but one can hope.
Man, would you believe they're still on dial-up?
So, sort of point of order here. The best way to get that big key is to go full left side. In my experience watching these races and doing them myself, full left is sort of becoming rarer and rarer to see. You don't often see runners go full left in Ganon's tower that much anymore. The sort of density that you can get by going left first and then right through compass room, or just full right and get that cleared off right away. It makes it kind of hard to see a key in rando room and feel good for the second person coming in, maybe finding it early. And not that I think that would make up enough time for Lin right now, but it's just sort of something that's kind of interesting to know how the sort of meta of Ganon's tower kind of ebbs and flows a little bit.
Me, I just kind of frantically look at every chest I possibly can for the big key, and then cry a little bit inside when I realize it's in the tower room. But yeah, Shareen is making quick work of this gauntlet, as any professional runner should, because they're just fully decked out in upgrades. Just good lord, that was the earliest I've seen someone get a seed providing that much firepower.
So in our important stuff, we are going to see a full complement of gold sword kills. Shareen didn't kill a boss with any other sword.
We're all professionals here. At least I like to think so. Right?
We certainly profess to run the game. Shareen not checking for the shovel.
Good try checking under Morty chest. Morty 2. Missing the dash through there, but getting it for the third time, which is pretty alright.
Alright, so Lin heading into GT. What is Lin gonna check first?
She's either gonna check full right as well.
Not tile room. Yeah, at this point, you know, even if I know it's not the right answer, I do like to see the effort. I feel tile room is maligned, maybe not unfairly, but definitely maligned. And it's not tile room's fault. Tile room didn't ask to be the way it was. Meanwhile, on Shareen's side, we do have one of my favorite boss fights in the game, Agatu. I just think this is a wonderfully interesting boss fight in terms of, you know, how fast in terms of in a speedrunning setting, it's just such an interesting fight because it is a cycle-based fight, right? You know, you do have to wait for cycles, and usually those are pretty bad from a speedrunning perspective, but you know, you add in all of the little things with the angles you need to get, the fact that you could get between 0 and 3 hits on each phase, and it actually becomes a very interesting fight.
All right, but now we're getting to the main event fighting Ganning himself.
Yeah, the big question here, can Shareen get sub 130?
I think so. I mean, you got 2 minutes to spare. You got Golden Sword. You have Silver Arrows.
Minute and 40. Minute 40.
Oh, yeah, minute and 40.
Will Shareen choke?
No, I don't think so.
Could Shareen choke?
I mean, yeah, Shareen could. Like, for all we know, Shareen could kill Ganon and then fall off afterwards, just for swag. They ain't gotten to the last phase before even 29 minutes. 1 hour and 29 minutes. And this looks to be a double tap.
It's a triple tap.
Oh, never mind. Triple. Hello.
That is actually, I believe that was intentional. Shareen didn't activate the torch glitch to precisely light the second torch while Ganon's in the middle of the room. You can't get doubles if Ganon hits the side of the wall. So that's sort of the trick, the key to intentionally setting up for doubles and triples. And Shareen finishes with an official time of 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 26 seconds. 34 seconds to spare. GG, Shareen.
That was
Lynn, not interested in opening those chests. Think we're going to be seeing a did not finish from Lynn here.
Yeah, this is after that I would probably forfeit too, but
yeah, and it wasn't poorly raced on Lynn's side, just get those Titans mitts early. That's basically all it was.
That's all it was, and that kind of is frustrating to be honest, but Linlinlin did an excellent job getting up to this point, and despite not getting those, they did make a very good time around this point to get up to Ganon's Tower at this point. So yeah, this is
I don't think I've ever lost a race with a time in the 130s. That's very impressive showing from both of these runners. But I think we have them in the booth here, so if we could pull them up for an interview, we'll have that ready for you in just a few seconds. So hang tight.
And we are joined by Linlinlin and Shareen. GG's to you both. Fantastic work out there.
GG's.
GG's.
So there was a lot to like about this seed, honestly. So I'll ask both of you what your favorite part of the seed was. What was your favorite thing? We like to complain, but what was your favorite thing?
None.
Hype cave.
Hype cave was fine.
Yeah, Hype Cave was definitely a spectacular feat to be had here. What was the least thing y'all liked about that seed?
Bombos, for sure.
Yeah.
That was so dumb. I even went to turn in the bottle because I was trying to get one item before going to swamp, but I'm like, I'm not going to turn in that powder because powder takes forever, in my opinion. But yeah, that was just dumb. The boots were stupid.
Yeah, the boots were that was a little bit naughty, I think, those boots. But I mean, even without getting 129 in a bootsless seed, that's a really good time. I mean, not that it would be surprising at this point in the tournament, but I'm sort of shaking my head in wonderment sometimes with these races. And Lynn not far behind either. Hey, honestly, the biggest thing from our perspective, it just came down to when did you check Agina's cave to get those mitts, because that was really the biggest roadblock for.
I know Shareen tends to skip it, so I decided I would do the same in the early game, and then when I went into Eastern, I had Zora and Agina left in Logic, and and I have a Master Sword, a cape. A bow. I'm
yeah, that bow was bait.
Shareen
dipped out after 2 items.
That might be the lamp is on Agina or Zora, and I'm already in Eastern, so I'm just gonna keep going.
My biggest thing was, even when the lamp does show up, there are situations where I'm just like, oh, I'll do Ago over Pen and Eastern. Obviously, once you're in Pen and Eastern, you're gonna finish the dungeon. and had I had lamp, I would have done that. But as I was saying, I felt in that situation having 2 items. The big key's hard lamp locked. The second item is very likely on Armos. I'm bailing out, saving maybe a minute 40 just to skip 1 item, and I felt, in this racing situation, that's a gamble I'm willing to take. And honestly, when I got the mitts, I felt like Lin could have had that on a South Shore trip and skipped Eastern entirely, so I didn't even feel that great about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely a hard race to feel great about your time in. You don't feel like you're killing it over your opponent because everything was it's so pretty obvious sort of from the point you sort of check it. It's just down to when you make your way over to Agina and find those mitts, and everything else kind of fell into place from that.
I think the one thing that can really trip runners up is if they skip their mirror, but
yeah, that would be the rookie mistake in this seed. I feel it's more experienced runners are overwhelmingly likely to just, hey, you have mitts access, you do Skullwoods first, especially if it's dependent.
You're looking for a hammer, you just clear everything kind of.
We also have the cape, so you can route Skullwoods in and bumper. And that's the reason
I feel like there's
go to Skullwoods in this situation. Just because you have the cape and you want to check bumper before heading to Village of Outcasts. I think that's probably it wasn't that Skullwoods. Of course, Skullwoods is dependent, but with that cape, I wanted to check bumper, so I just went into Skullwoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen mirror in Skullwoods, in front of Skullwoods. It feels like almost an inordinate amount. Like it seems like it's like weighted to be in Skullwoods somehow. The number of times I've skipped it and found mirror in there, it's like I'm not skipping that anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the other point that. But then you had I don't think Shareen had a single boss defeated without the gold sword, which is
so
unusual to say the least.
Yeah, gold sword was in Thieves Town, right? That was
and
fun.
There were two in Mini Moldorm and one on what was it?
The Lost Woods drop down.
Lost Woods drop down. Yeah, that's right.
Made me opt to save and quit and do South Shore, which didn't really do much, but yeah, there was a lot of different routing you can do in this one. A little weird.
So, question for Shareen: why do you hate hammer pegs?
Oh, someone told me that I went right past hammer pegs with the hammer. And I think I was just in my mitts for Dark World access mode, and I'm like, oh, I got the mirror. Let's do Smiths to Hype Cave, because I'm still looking for the hammer. Because, like, normally I don't have the hammer in that situation, and I just forgot, and I got rewarded, I guess. I mean,
I wouldn't call it much of a reward, but it certainly didn't bite you. That was a possibility. You never like to accidentally do that because it always feels like the one time you forget is the one time it really, really mattered that you forgot.
Yeah, definitely could have burnt me bad there.
Yeah, but the rest of the stuff was with that hype cave. That just made everything just so sort of easy to play out. You already had the items. The Cane of Samaria showing up in Pod was amazing, especially for Shareen, because Shareen never made that early mountain trip that you made, Lin. Because Lin did the front of the mountain before Lamp. I think actually before Mitts, I believe.
I would say the old man. I just say the old man because I would.
Yeah, save the old man.
The thing is, like I said, I was expecting to land somewhere, so I just wanted to have that out of the way. To have a better because I was actually expecting a Naga seed. So I was like, okay, if there's anything on Old Man, then like it will make my Dark World from the pyramid maybe better or something. So I just gonna save it. Just gonna save the old.
Until those mitts showed up, that was a really uncomfortable looking seed. Just like you've got one glove, the 3 swords, everything for Aga but the lamp, everything for Dark World but the hammer, a second glove upgrade is just a really uncomfortable situation. Everybody was fully expecting the lamp to show up next, and then boom, mitts in Agina's cave. So,
and you know what? Earlier in the season, when we played the Last Locationers in week 2, I felt in a similar situation, and I kind of full cleared the Light World in like a nasty way, and it sucks when you just feel 5 minutes behind in Dark World, and there's nothing you could do about it, and like it was just a bad seed. For Lin.
And after that, there was nothing I could do. Like, I go to pot, get my cane, go to ice, and then I finally go to the mountain, and then I get the powder, but I also get the flippers, and like swamp is open. Why would I do powder?
And your
before going
2
to swamp?
items for go as well.
Yeah,
Right.
and then you do swamp because of course you do swamp, and then ice is in there, and then you're 1 item from go, and it's like
And then
Yeah,
I feel
it's
like you
just
have
a-
to do left side because you don't have that much left.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then after that you have to do pyramid fairy because that's 2 items right there.
And if you haven't done pyramid or catfish, then you're gonna do that as well.
Yeah, it just routed itself for the entire second half, and it's just like it was just sort of a little bit frustrating to watch for Lin. Just it's like, what can Lin possibly do? It has to be a ped seed for Lin to make up this time. Like, and it's like you're wishing for a ped seed for somebody to make up time. That's not a fun spot to be in necessarily as a spectator. But in terms of the overall execution, you both sort of stuck it together. Shareen picked up the mitts first and kind of just went from there mostly. So very well played on both sides.
Yeah, I do believe that is. I don't have any questions in mind. Y'all, you didn't practically ask all the questions I would like to ask, but any final thoughts on this seed?
No, I just
Go ahead.
good. No, I just wanted to wish you the best of luck. Feels kind of bad getting eliminated by Yoshi's team 3 times in a row, but what can we do?
Yeah, I was gonna say the last locationers were my pick to win it all, and I still think they are the best team, and we're the best team left in the league. And they're all good buddies of mine, so it feels
thanks.
good. It feels good to win. It sucks to knock them out, but I still think that they'll win. They'll win eventually. I mean, maybe if Yoshi quits the league, but they'll get it. They're a very stacked team.
I'll like always having to face Yoshi because we're like a European team, so like the way that the divisions and conference are made is that we're always gonna face him before facing other teams. So sure.
Well, yeah. With that, the division finals go to Triple Dino Disaster. Not much of a disaster today, but so you are going to be facing the winner of Error 216 and the 2019 Titansmiths of 2019 in the conference finals for the Light World Conference. So best of luck there, and best of luck to all of the last locationers in the future. It's been a great run for everybody this year, and we look forward to seeing more of you in the future.
With that all said and done, we are not done doing more speed running for the Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3. Tune in at 10 o'clock today. We do have the Findaria Drifters versus Team Kappa that's be happening at that time. And after that, tomorrow we do have more speed running afterwards. So do tune into that for the invitational section. I'm pretty sure we do have some for the open section as well. We do have plenty of matches there. Of course, you can always check the scheduling from there at the main website there.
Yeah. Also, it looks like at least it did before I refreshed the page. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and not mention what I was gonna say. So yeah. With that said, I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday. Hope everybody has a great New Year. It's 3 days in, but so far it's been all right. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you very much for watching.